Chapter 2. 10 minutes to prepare. Darian stared at the closed bedroom door. Treason, he repeated. The servant remained in the hallway, breathing hard enough for Darian to hear him through the wood. Yes, Lord Lucian. How many soldiers? I am not certain. Estimate. A pause followed. 20, perhaps 30. They wear the silver wolf of the Royal Guard, 30 trained soldiers. Darian glanced around the bedroom. One narrow window, one wooden chair, a wash basin, a wardrobe containing clothing that would provide no protection against steel. His new body possessed the strength of a sickly boy, and the only weapon within reach was a chair leg. Not ideal, but he had survived worse situations with less information. Where is my brother? In the Great Hall, Lord Alistair is speaking with your father. Has anyone been ordered to arrest me? No, not yet. The hesitation told Darian more than the answer. Your name? Edwin, my lord. Darian searched Lucien's memories. Edwin Hale, 16 years old, assistant to the household steward. Quiet, nervous, and frequently mocked by the older servants for stuttering when frightened. Lucien had once defended him after a drunken guard struck him. That small act of kindness was likely the only reason Edwin had come to warn him. Edwin, listen carefully. Do not tell anyone we spoke. Yes, my lord. Go to the kitchen. Behave normally. If anyone asks, you came here to collect my breakfast tray. But there is no tray. Find one. Edwin was silent for half a second. Yes, my lord. His footsteps faded down the corridor. Darian lowered his eyes as a blue screen appeared. Crisis detected. New objective received. Prepare for arrest. Time remaining. 0957, objective requirements, gather information, secure a weapon, improve physical readiness, avoid immediate capture, standard reward, 20 general experience, 10-fold growth, reward 200 general experience. Darian studied the screen. The system rewarded more than combat. It recognized preparation, survival, and strategic action. That made it far more valuable than a simple tool for killing monsters. Show available skills. The screen changed. No active skills learned. Show memories related to combat. A sharp pain struck behind his eyes. Lucien's experiences flashed through his mind. 3 years of sword instruction, most of it had been poor. Lucien's instructor had treated him like a burden and focused nearly all his attention on Lucien's older brothers. Still, the boy knew basic stances, footwork, and defensive movements. Knowledge existed, the body simply lacked the strength to use it well. Darian moved the chair aside and stood in the center of the room. Then we begin there. He raised his empty hands as though holding a sword. Left foot forward, weight centered, shoulders relaxed. He stepped, cut, recovered, and stepped again. The first movement was slow, the second was smoother. By the fifth, sweat formed along his forehead. Basic swordsmanship practice detected. 1. Skill experience gained. 10-fold growth activated. 10. Skill experience gained. Darian continued. He practiced a downward cut, a horizontal cut, a thrust, and a retreating guard. His feet dragged. His balance was poor. His lungs burned almost immediately. But his mind remembered battle. Not academy duels fought for applause, real battle. He remembered how men moved when they intended to kill. He remembered the twitch of a shoulder before a thrust and the shift of weight before a charge. The weak body could not match his old technique. Not yet. Basic swordsmanship increased to level 1. A sensation flowed through his arms. His grip adjusted instinctively. His posture became more stable. Darian stopped. The skill had not simply given him knowledge. It had helped the body interpret what the mind already understood. Useful. He crossed to the wardrobe and searched through Lucien's clothing. At the bottom, beneath several folded shirts, he found a leather belt with a silver buckle. Too flexible to serve as a club. The buckle could injure someone if swung, but it would not stop a sword. He searched the desk next. Inside the top drawer were letters, sealing wax, an ink bottle, and a small knife used to sharpen quills. The blade was 3 inches long. Barely a weapon. Darian took it anyway and slid it into his sleeve. Improvised weapon acquired. Objective progress updated. Time remaining. 0742. He returned to the wash basin. A metal pitcher sat beside it. Darian lifted the pitcher and tested its weight. Better than nothing. He placed it near the door where he could reach it quickly. Then he examined the window. The bedroom was on the second floor. Beneath it lay a sloped roof covering one of the estate's side halls. From there, he could potentially reach the courtyard. Escape was possible. That did not mean it was wise. Running would make him appear guilty. It would also abandon Lucien's family to whatever consequences followed. Darian needed information before deciding. He searched Lucien's memories again. Alistair Ashbourne, Lucien's eldest brother, 27 years old, a royal knight, talented, respected and cold. Lucien had admired him as a child, but that admiration had slowly turned to fear. Alistair rarely raised his voice. He did not need to. A single disappointed look from him had been enough to reduce Lucien to silence. Why would Alistair arrive with royal soldiers? Darian moved to the desk and examined the letters. Most were unopened invitations, academy notices, and demands for payment. One envelope stood out. It bore no seal. Lucien's name had been written across the front in unfamiliar handwriting. Darian opened it. The letter contained only one sentence. "Meet me beneath the East Bell Tower at midnight if you wish to learn why your mother died." Darian read it again. Lucien's mother had died from fever 8 years earlier. At least, that was what the family believed. A faint memory surfaced, Lucien slipping out of the academy dormitory, rain falling over the capital, the East Bell Tower standing beyond the old city wall, a hooded stranger waiting beneath it, then fear, running footsteps. A flash of steel, the memory ended. Darian pressed 2 fingers against his temple. Lucien had gone to the meeting, but his recollection had been damaged, drugged perhaps, or magically altered. He turned the letter over. A small symbol had been drawn in the bottom corner, a black crown surrounded by thorns. The system reacted immediately. Hidden information discovered. Investigation experience gained. 2. Tenfold growth activated. 20. Investigation experience gained. Skill unlocked. Investigation level 1. The room changed. Not physically. Darian's awareness sharpened. He noticed faint stains on the paper, a subtle scent beneath the ink, an indentation where another page had rested on top of this one while someone wrote. He tilted the letter toward the sunlight. The paper carried a trace of purple wax along one edge. Royal correspondents commonly used red wax. The Ashbourne family used dark green. Purple belonged to several powerful noble houses, but Lucien's memory supplied the most important one. House Valmere, the same house as Duke Valmere's son, the student who had defeated Lucien in the academy duel, the same duel that had led to Lucien's expulsion. Darian folded the letter and placed it inside his shirt. A heavy knock struck the bedroom door. "Lucien." The voice belonged to Alistair. Darian checked the timer. Time remaining. 04:11. He did not answer immediately. "Open the door," Alistair ordered. Darian approached silently and looked through the narrow space between the door and its frame. 2 royal soldiers stood behind his brother. Alistair wore polished steel armor beneath a blue cloak. A longsword hung at his side. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself with the disciplined stillness of an experienced fighter. His face resembled Lucien's, though harder. Darian stepped away from the door. "What is the charge?" he asked. "Treason against the crown. That is an accusation, not an explanation." One of the soldiers shifted impatiently. Alistair remained still. "You are in no position to demand explanations. And yet you have not broken down the door." Silence followed. Darian continued, "That means you either lack authority to arrest me inside our father's estate, or you need something from me before I am taken." The soldier on Alistair's left muttered something under his breath. Alistair's expression did not change, but his voice became quieter. "You sound different. I nearly died last night. I heard. No concern for your younger brother? You poisoned yourself." Lucien's shame stirred inside Darian's chest. He forced it down. "That is not an answer." "Open the door." Darian looked at the metal pitcher, then the window. If Alistair intended to kill him, resistance would accomplish little. His brother's armor alone made the quill knife nearly useless. But if this was a legal arrest, every word mattered. Darian unlocked the door and stepped back. Alistair entered first. His eyes swept across the room. He noticed the moved furniture, the sweat on Darian's forehead, the metal pitcher near the doorway. Then his attention returned to Darian. The two soldiers followed him inside. One was older, with a scar crossing his jaw. The other appeared barely 20. Neither drew a weapon. Good. Alistair closed the door behind them. "Where is it?" he asked. "Where is what?" "The royal cipher." Darian let the question settle. "What cipher?" Alistair studied him closely. "Do not play the fool." "Then stop treating me like one." The younger soldier stepped forward. "You will address Sir Alistair with respect." Darian looked directly at him. The soldier was taller and stronger, but he carried too much tension in his right shoulder. His hand remained close to his sword, and his weight rested heavily on his front foot. In a fight, he would draw quickly and overcommit. Darian filed the observation away. Alistair raised one hand. The soldier stepped back. "A courier was murdered 3 nights ago," Alistair said. "He carried an encoded message intended for the king. Witnesses saw someone matching your description leaving the scene. Half the academy matches my description. The courier's satchel was found beneath your bed." Darian glanced toward the bed. He had not checked beneath it. A mistake. The scarred soldier crossed the room, knelt, and pulled out a dark leather satchel bearing the royal seal. Darian's expression remained calm. Inside, his thoughts moved rapidly. Someone had planted evidence before Lucien returned home. That meant the estate had been compromised. A servant, guard, or family member had entered this room. "Convenient," Darian said. The young soldier laughed once. "You deny it?" "Of course I deny it. A man intelligent enough to steal a royal message would not hide the satchel beneath his own bed." "Perhaps you are not intelligent." Darian looked at him. "Perhaps." The soldier's smile faltered. Darian turned to Alistair. "You said the cipher is missing." "Yes." "Then whoever placed the satchel here removed the only valuable object before doing so." Alistair's eyes narrowed. "Placed?" "Unless you believe a poisoned and unconscious 17-year-old murdered a royal courier, travelled from the capital, hid the evidence beneath his bed, and returned in time to die quietly. You left the academy 4 days ago." Lucien's memories shifted. A carriage, rain against the window, long stretches of darkness. He remembered leaving the academy but not arriving at the estate. There were missing hours. "Who drove the carriage?" Darian asked. "What?" "Who brought me home?" "Family coachman." "Name?" Alistair hesitated. Darian saw it. "You do not know. That is irrelevant. It becomes relevant when your accusation depends on my movements." A blue notification appeared at the edge of Darian's vision. "Investigation check successful. Contradiction identified. 5. Investigation experience gained. 10-fold growth activated. 50. Investigation experience gained. Investigation increased to level 2. More details became clear." Alistair was angry but not convinced. The scarred soldier avoided looking at the satchel. The younger soldier was watching Darian rather than searching the room. This was not an investigation. They already believed the evidence was enough, or they had been ordered to ensure it was enough. Darian pointed toward the satchel. "Open it." The scarred soldier stiffened. Alistair looked at him. "Captain." The man slowly unfastened the satchel. Inside were several torn sheets, an empty document case, and a silver badge stained with dried blood. The captain removed each item. Darian watched his hands. There, a faint purple mark along the edge of his glove. Wax, the same color as the residue on the mysterious letter. The captain noticed Darian staring and closed his fist. Darian understood. The man had handled something sealed with purple wax recently. That alone proved nothing, but it connected him to House Valmir, or to someone who used its seal. Darian could expose the observation now. That would be foolish. He needed the captain to believe his involvement remained hidden. "Was the courier killed with a sword?" Darian asked. The captain answered too quickly. "A knife." Alistair turned toward him. The report did not specify the weapon. The room went still. The captain's face hardened. Darian smiled faintly. "Interesting." The man reached for his sword. Darian moved first. He kicked the metal pitcher across the floor. It struck the captain's boot with a sharp clang. The captain looked down instinctively. Darian stepped inside his reach, caught the man's sword wrist with both hands, and drove his knee into the inside of his leg. In his old body, the movement would have shattered the knee. In Lucien's body, it barely forced the captain off balance. But off balance was enough. Alistair seized the captain's shoulder and slammed him against the wall. The younger soldier drew his blade. "Do not move," Alistair roared. Everyone froze. The captain struggled once. Alistair twisted his arm higher. "Why did you know the weapon?" "I read the report. You just heard me say it was not included." "I heard from another guard." "Which guard?" The captain said nothing. Darian stepped back, breathing heavily. His weak body trembled from the brief exertion. Blue messages appeared rapidly. Combat maneuver successfully executed. Basic unarmed combat unlocked. 2 combat experience gained. 10-fold growth activated. 20 combat experience gained. Basic unarmed combat increased to level 1. Objective requirement completed. Avoid immediate capture. Objective requirement completed. Gather information. Objective requirement completed. Secure a weapon. Darian looked down. During the struggle, he had taken the captain's dagger from his belt. He had done it by instinct. The blade now rested in his hand. The younger soldier pointed his sword at Darian's chest. "Drop it." Darian placed the dagger on the floor. Alistair stared at him. "Where did you learn to move like that?" Darian met his gaze. "Would you believe I had an excellent teacher?" "No." Then asking was pointless. Alistair ordered the younger soldier to bind the captain. The man obeyed, though he kept glancing suspiciously at Darian. When the captain's hands were secured, Alistair searched his cloak. He removed a coin purse, a folded order bearing the royal seal, and a small purple fragment of wax. Alistair's face changed, only slightly, but Darian saw the shock. "House Valmir," Alistair whispered. The captain lunged, not at Alistair, at Darian. A hidden blade slipped from beneath his sleeve. Darian tried to step aside, but his body was too slow. The blade rushed toward his throat. Alistair's sword flashed from its sheath. Steel struck flesh. The captain's severed hand hit the floor. He screamed. The hidden blade landed beside it. The younger soldier stared in horror. Alistair pressed the tip of his sword beneath the captain's chin. "Who ordered you?" The captain clenched his teeth through the pain. Then his body jerked. Dark veins spread across his neck. Poison. Alistair grabbed his jaw, but it was already too late. The captain collapsed. Dead. Darian looked down at the body. A professional conspiracy, planted evidence, a false witness, a compromised royal officer, and a connection to one of the kingdom's most powerful noble houses. Lucien had not swallowed poison simply because he had been humiliated. Someone had driven him toward death. Someone had wanted the final loose end removed before the accusation was made public. A bright tone rang inside Darian's mind. Objective completed. Prepare for arrest. 20 general experience gained. 10-fold growth activated. 200 general experience gained. Level increased. 1-2. Level increased. 2-3. Warmth exploded through Darian's body. His muscles tightened. His heartbeat became stronger. His senses sharpened. You have gained 10 free attribute points. New skill available. Tactical assessment. New title unlocked. The accused title. Effect. Gain 10% additional experience when acting to expose a false accusation. Alistair wiped his sword clean. "You are still coming with me," he said. The younger soldier looked at him in surprise. Darian raised an eyebrow. "Your captain just tried to murder me." "He was not my captain. He was assigned to this arrest by the royal court." "And that does not concern you?" "It concerns me greatly." Alistair sheathed his sword. "That is why you are not going to the royal prison." "Where then?" "To the capital." Darian glanced at the dead man. "Those sound remarkably similar." "They are not." Alistair stepped closer and lowered his voice. "The stolen cipher contains the names of royal agents operating inside the Eastern Kingdoms. If it reaches the wrong hands, hundreds could die. And you believe I know where it is?" "I believe someone thinks you do." Darian touched the folded letter beneath his shirt. The black crown. The purple wax. The missing hours in Lucien's memory. He did not trust Alistair, but trust was no longer required, only aligned interests. For now, Darian said, that may be enough. Alistair studied him for several seconds. What happened to you last night? Darian looked at the body lying between them. I learned what happens to weak men who trust the wrong people. For the first time, Alistair had no response. Outside, bells began ringing across the Ashbourne estate. Not alarm bells, arrival bells. Someone else had reached the gates. The young soldier crossed to the window. His face went pale. Sir Alistair. What is it? The soldier looked back at them. Duke Valmir is here. Darian felt Lucien's fear rise from the depths of his borrowed memories. Carriages filled the courtyard below. Dozens of armoured riders surrounded them. At their centre flew a purple banner marked with a golden serpent. Alistair's hand returned to his sword. Darian smiled without humour. He had been alive for less than half an hour. Already an officer had tried to kill him, a duke had surrounded his home, and an unknown enemy had accused him of treason against the crown. The situation was finally beginning to feel familiar.